Okay, good afternoon. This is the American Reverend Zechariah A. Jackson from the Church of What's Happening Now, Talent Talker Talk Show and Talent Talker Public Talk Show. We're here today, and I hope that I pronounced your name right, Dr. Professor Ramesh
Pandey.
Ramesh Pandey, PhD, President and Chairman of, what's the name of your company here?
GDP Ayurvedic University.
Yeah, okay. We're here today talking with the professor says he has a cure for cancer
No.
and for actually a cure for sickle cell. Is it actually? Do you actually call it a cure?
We don't call it cure.
Okay.
It is for the management of sickle cell disease.
The maintenance
Yes.
of sickle cell. Okay.
Yes. Management of sickle cell disease, which is very, very bad. It is management of the crisis. If one takes this
Sure.
one capsule a day,
All right.
and then you have no crisis.
So if you have no crisis, so will the body then heal itself?
No. This is a genetic disease.
Yes.
So in order for, so it is not, the body cannot heal itself because there has been some changes in the hemoglobin genes.
Oh, okay. That's in the body.
In the body.
Yes.
So because it is, what happens is this sickle cell disease is a disease which is related in some way to malaria.
Wow.
In the countries where you have malaria, there is a change in the hemoglobin gene, and the normal person has AA blood type, but in that, when the change occurs in the gene, so in the state of AA, you have what is called trait, the gene becomes AS.
Sure.
So once it is AS, then if a man marries a lady with AS and AS gene, then 1 in 4 kid could be a sickler with SS. So that is why when you have sickle cell, then if a man marries a lady
Sure.
with the, then 1 in 4 kid with sickler, and what happens is when a child is born, the first 6 months or so they have the mother's fetal hemoglobin, so they don't have symptoms,
Okay.
to the best of my
Okay.
knowledge. But then when the body starts making their own blood, the only treatment was blood transfusion
Sure.
or bone marrow transfusion. And but in the developing countries and underdeveloped countries, you can't do blood transfusion.
Sure. Right.
So since you can't do blood transfusion, but what happens is in the countries, in the underdeveloped countries, herbalists, village folks have been using certain herbs to control the sickling. So instead of the blood, the normal blood is like a donut shape, but when it goes into sickling, it becomes half moon shape, and that polymerizes, and once it polymerizes, the blood flow stops, or then it gives crisis, and then people die.
Well, let me ask you this right here now, and Professor, not taking anything away from the developing countries. In the undeveloped countries, do they actually call it the same as we call it here in the more modern nations where we say sickle cell? Is that the name of the disease there?
I think they also call sickle cell, yes, and they may have some other name, I didn't think about it, but it's very common.
Okay, so, and not taking anything away from it, how did they know that the people possess this disease, and how did they actually know that? Because, you know, most in the United States, most of our stuff comes from research. Now, and the thing is that from what I'm getting from you and everything, not taking anything from your study and your journey over there, but you're not actually saying that doctors over there practice this. This is just healers.
These are healers.
Way.
Yeah. Where are they doing the testing?
How do you test for
Yeah,
the disease?
like here, you know, I remember going and getting a booster shot and getting your blood being tested. So how do they?
No. Sometimes you see, because they are not, they don't have this modern terminology and all that. Just like first swine flu, then H1N1 flu, the recent development they are talking. So in these developing countries, sometimes they call it voodoo science, and they think that some bad spirit has taken over, and all those kind of things are still going on.
Okay,
in the
but
country.
in a nation like this right here, in the more Western nations, we can diagnose this disease when a kid is, let's say, this big. You go to the doctor, you test him, say, hey, your son or your daughter has sickle cell. So we know when to start treating it. Now, how do they know when to actually start treating this disease?
No. They don't know certain things. That's where people like me come in the picture.
Sure.
Because I come from India.
Yes.
Okay, I'm here in this country for 45 years.
Yes.
I have seen in India what happens. May not be in that scale like what is happening in African countries,
Sure.
but there are so many herbal things which are used in India for the pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
And even today, the many pharmaceuticals, about 25-30% of the modern pharmaceutical drugs come from herbs and medicinal plants.
Yes.
This Taxol is a good example. Taxol is used for ovarian cancer, breast cancer, lung cancer.
Sure.
And it came from yew tree. The bark of the yew tree came from
the bark that you just showed us.
that I showed you. National Cancer Institute was screening plants from all over the world.
Sure.
And when they were screening plants from all over the world, they the extract of the bark of the yew tree, they gave certain activities, and then they did the preliminary work, and then there is a lady, Susan Horwitz, at Albert Einstein Institute in New York, and she found that this Taxol works in a different way, and then she calls her friend at Johns Hopkins University and say, Jeff, and can you test this Taxol in your cancer patients, ovarian cancer patients?
Sure.
And that's where then NCI got very much seriously interested in, and finally they were looking for an industrial partner, and the BMS, Bristol Myers Squibb, won the contract with NCI because 4 companies had submitted the CREDA. One was Bristol Myers Squibb, Ron Polanco, Zchem, Through Lifomed, and Unimed.
Okay.
And so the drug became $2 billion drug. Think about it. But originally it comes from the yew tree, and now today they make it semi-synthetic.
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 And explain that right there.
Semi-synthetic means part of the molecule is isolated, and then you add some more part into that so that it becomes the whole molecule, just like me without an arm, and me without an arm, and so you put an arm, then it becomes a total body.
Sure.
So you have a molecule without part of it is missing, so they add that part into it.
Okay.
And so that's what. So this is just a simple, but there are many other products. Quinine, which is used for malaria originally, but then people start becoming resistant to quinine, and or the disease become resistant. So then today for malaria, artemisinin is used. Artemisinin combination therapy is used. All these are coming from herbs. So what is happening? So people like me who have spent their life in the pharmaceutical industry, and what is happening is now, because I know from India, so my shift moved actually in 2001 when the Minister of Science and Technology, Turner Issun, came to United States to sign an